Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between. Of what you're speaking of right now, just in terms of, what it means to be a man or what it means to be a man now versus maybe the classic definition of a masculine male that has certainly changed, don't you think?
Well, I think that if part of that definition is spending $1,000 every weekend you have your kid, then I'm the best fucking man in the world. Jesus Christ. Why is it? Like, I don't understand. Like, why? Every weekend it's so much money goes out the door. Like, it just, I don't know.
Do you think so? Are you guys in this cycle? And this is a question because I don't know, but are you in a cycle right now where you feel like whenever, because you don't have your daughter, whenever you do have your daughter, that it's your responsibility to entertain her as opposed to being just with her?
No. I went through that early on.
Okay.
At this point, I mean, 7 years in, no.
Okay.
I mean, we did choose to go to Top Golf Friday night. That's not cheap.
Okay. I've never been, so I wouldn't know.
Well, the key is to go, if you can, Monday through Thursday. It's half price. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is full price.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it basically runs about $1 a minute for one bay.
Okay.
So 90 minutes was $93.
Sure.
I'm also right now okay with spending a little extra money because my daughter is 13. What we used to do and she thought was cool, she does not think it's cool anymore.
Right.
So if there's something we both can do and spend some quality time together, I'm going to lean into that as best I can. Can't do it every time. But, you know, that's okay. That's fine. But, you know, there was that. We need a new pair of tennis shoes. And then we, you know, it's the grocery store. And we got some extra things and Target and, you know, Halloween costume. Like I mean, I joke, but holy shit.
Yeah.
Ramen noodles for me this week, buddy. Jesus Christ, man.
Right. No, I hear you though. I mean, we had the same thing, right? So my I don't know if you saw my social media posts, but we had the same situation this weekend. So a few weeks ago, I said to my wife, we need to go and take my oldest daughter to get her a new winter coat because we have winter, very quickly approaching here.
Sure.
And so they go to Shields, which is, a very Midwestern sports store. They're all over the country now, but it kind of started in the Midwest. You guys have Shields down there, don't you?
Not in St. Louis.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I'm familiar with them. I know what it is.
Right. It's like Shields is like a Dick's, right? A Dick's Sporting Goods kind of a situation, right?
What did you call me?
I didn't. Well, not yet. I haven't called you a dick, but
still time.
So yeah, right. So we take her there, and I make this. I made a social media post about this because my daughter picked up this coat. And she was like, "Oh, this is nice." And then she shows it to my wife, and they look at the price tag, and it was $1,050.
Jesus.
A winter coat at a sports store for $1,050. So you're talking about a $1,200 coat after taxes when you walk out of there.
That's wild.
Right? For a winter jacket. I was like, I was so... And so I just made this social media post, and I said, if anybody out there thinks that prices on anything is going down, you're out of your mind, because they're not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The prices of nothing are going down. $1,050 for a winter coat. I mean,
was
that
this
winter
thing
coat
good to like 50 below zero or some shit?
I mean, it's not certainly. It didn't look like it was going to give me a hand job. So I mean,
definitely not worth $1,000.
Right. I could not believe how expensive this coat was. I was blown away by it. And so we had that, and then, my youngest daughter needed new shoes for gym and volleyball, and she went and bought Sabrina's, right? So there's a new WNBA, I guess she's not a new WNBA player, but Sabrina, and I can't pronounce her last name. Ionescu, I think is how you pronounce her last name. I can't pronounce it right. She's a great player, and she has really cool shoes. They're Nike shoes, and they're like purple and pink and coral and all these really cool colors. And, same thing, right? You go and buy a winter coat and you buy some new shoes and you have dinner, and before you know it, you're selling your left kidney.
Yep.
I mean,
oh yeah.
And it was just a regular weekend, so I get that, right? Being that, you want to be a good provider, and things have gone up. And really what bothers me more than anything is not that things go up in price, but they never really come back down.
Yeah. Except gas.
Yeah, right. So I would agree, right? So I remember a time a few years ago when gas was $4 a gallon, and we're back to $2.30 a gallon here in the upper Midwest.
4 years ago, I think the record was it took me $148 to fill my truck up. Oh, maybe more, but either way, literally like 4 years ago at this time. So yeah, it's definitely way cheaper than that now. It was like $80 the other day.
Yeah, and we were in Vegas. My wife and I were in Vegas last weekend. It was $4.50 there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that seems to come back down, but it's so volatile. Like, I mean, something can have some kind of hurricane that makes it, actually into the Gulf and fucks up some oil rigs, and we're up $1 a gallon overnight. It's wild.
Right.
But I agree. I mean, things go up and they never come back down. Everyone talks about the affordability of homes. Well, but prices are steadying a little bit. Yeah, but they're not going to go down unless there's a crash. So unless you want a damn 2008 again, prices aren't going to drop significantly or at all. Right.
And a crash negatively affects those people that bought their home in the last 5 years, because then you lose equity in your home, right?
Yep. Exactly.
So you don't, that's a tricky situation. But these costs of everything, it kind of leads into what you kind of talked about, or what you mentioned in the very beginning, is that, there's the idea of what it's like to be a man in 2025, what masculinity looks like. And I actually Googled the toxic masculinity, because this idea has been thrown around, right?
Sure.
We've heard about it a lot. We've heard about it in the media. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to actually get the definition, because I've heard it so much, but I've actually never heard anybody define it to me educationally of where it came from, because I think it gets used in many circumstances when it's being overused. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm actually Googling the definition right now.
So I have it right here. The concept of toxic masculinity is used in academic and media discussions to refer to those aspects of masculinity that are socially destructive, such as misogyny, homophobia, and violent domination. These traits are considered toxic due to, in part, to their promotion of violence, including sexual assault, domestic violence. Socialization of boys sometimes also normalizes violence, such as saying boys will be boys, and talking about bullying and aggressive behavior.
So basically being an asshole.
Well, kind of, right? I mean, you right? I would agree with that, right? I guess they're saying that that's kind of, but I think that I think that sometimes people confuse bravado,
sure,
and they call it toxic masculinity, right? They confuse overconfidence or cockiness. If you have somebody who's cocky, and they're calling it toxic masculinity. Now, I've seen many, both male and female, people behave in a way that's cocky, right? So, sure. Or overconfidence is what I another term I think you can use for cocky. So I think the term toxic masculinity is way overused right now, and I think there's such a varying degree of what people consider to be masculine right now, right? Because of the idea that we have so many different genders, subgenders, things like that are accepted in society right now, that traditional masculinity is being frowned upon.
Yeah, I feel like anytime there is a new terminology, phrase like this, and I'm using these words very broadly. But I think that's always the case. There's all these definitions and interpretations of it, and it's wide ranging, and it's hard to, and you can probably blame social media on this in some ways too, whatever, but it's hard to figure out exactly what it is. And that being said, we're not here to tell you what it means. This is just our thoughts, our opinions. They're not supported by any of our sponsors because we don't have any. But these are just thoughts that we have about it. It's probably worth saying and throwing that out there. But I think you run across that anytime. I mean, for me, toxic masculinity. I mean, to me, it's being an asshole. Like, treat everyone with respect, right? Especially if you're, treat people how you want to be treated, the old adage. But if you are degrading women just because they're a woman, if you're degrading someone who has special needs, or a child, a kid, a minor, just because of their age, or vice versa, if they're old, they're 70s, 80s, 90s, and you're treating them a certain way because of their age, then yeah, you're being an asshole. Fuck that. Don't be an asshole.
Right. I kind of go by the adage of if somebody's doing something that you disagree with, but it's not intentionally hurting you, right? Then let it be. What does it? People get very caught up, like in all these gender conversations. I'm just going to use that as an example, and the younger generation would call both of us a cis male, right? Which is somebody who is essentially a very traditional male who's straight, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So there's all these names for it, and you can learn them or not learn them or feel however you want to about it. But the way that I look at it is that if somebody is identifying themselves in a way that I am maybe don't agree with or not comfortable with it, but they're not doing it in a way that's harming me in any way, then why do I care? And I can have an opinion on it, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't have to care to go out of my way to make that person feel a certain way. If their lifestyle is not harming me, then what of it? You know what I mean? It's not, it's like if you're, I've said this before. If you're in a room of people who are gay, transgender, queer, use whatever acronym you want to use to describe a variety of people that aren't, straight, right? If you're in a room of people like that, just because they have a different lifestyle or different preference, whatever, that's not going to rub off on you or change you. That's not there to be offensive to you, right? But at the same time, it shouldn't be offensive to be traditionally male or traditionally female either. Sure. Like I think that like we make all these distinguishing lines, but we have to remember that the traditional values are okay. And I think you have to be able to have a open mind to be okay with it. And like you said, just don't choose to be an asshole about it. You know what I mean? You don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to like it. But you don't have to go out of your way to disrespect it either, because that is not going to serve any purpose.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't support it, then so be it. And if that's a conversation you want to have with someone, have the conversation. And as we've talked about before, have the conversation not to change someone's mind, but just to express your feelings. But also, if you're going to do that, you have to be willing to listen and hear someone that has the opposite view of you. Now, I think that from my standpoint, I agree. Like if you're not straight and that looks different in your life, queer, transgender, whatever it is, lesbian, a gay man, whatever it is, I'm here to support you, and I'll be your ally. And I take it a step further in that I will vocally support that. And that's, and it's taken me a while to get to that point, but I feel like in our society now, there's so many people that are disrespecting people because of what they believe in or what they are, or how they identify, however you want to phrase this. And I'm not just talking about, transgender or not being straight, but also from a religious belief or anything else. I'm going to support those people within reason. I'm going to support those people because they need an ally. And unfortunately, I feel like there's probably too many people sitting on the sideline, and those people probably need more of a voice because the bigger voice, it feels like at times in this society, is people that are being disrespectful to folks that aren't a cis male or just a traditional person that is straight and has is married and has 2.5 kids or whatever the statistics are. It's
right.
And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. That's the society we're in right now. And I may catch some flack from that, and I may lose some followers or whatever. I don't give a shit. Like that's who I am, and that's something important to me.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you would say that too, because I would almost guarantee you that if someone were to look at you and I standing in a room, I don't think that they would make, if we were dressed and appeared the way that we normally appear, you know what I mean, with you with your cowboy hat and all your accoutrements, right, and me with all of mine, I could almost guarantee you that they would never pick us out of the room as being something like this that we both universally and completely and totally agree on, because I'm exactly the same way. I mean, I grew up in high school in musical theater. It doesn't get any more, it doesn't get any more nerdy than that, right?
Sure.
I mean, all the kids that didn't fit in everywhere else, that's where they land, right? And my oldest daughter went through the same thing. My youngest daughter does a little bit of that and does some sports. But the idea is that, I have always in my life found that the most interesting people to me to talk to are the ones who are different.
Sure.
Right? The people
Absolutely.
that maybe that don't follow they don't follow the norm. They don't follow the path. Be it
I would say not different. They just they don't fit in the prototypical society standards or or as you said, normal, like what people consider normal, traditionally normal.
Right. And what's really interesting about that is that that's where we land in our hobbies, right? Motorcyclists were the fringe of society, right? They were looked down upon. They were, ostracized. They were, and they got together and formed of their own groups and factions and whatever because they didn't fit into normal society, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times we forget that's what motorcyclists were,
For sure.
And it's such an interesting dichotomy of how that changed. Now you have these, now all of a sudden you say, oh, there's all this toxic masculinity that's surrounding motorcycling, and I don't know that's. I think that there are groups of people like that in every part of society, right?
Sure.
I think it's just easy to single people out in those ways, and I would agree with you. I would say that there's probably not enough people like you and I who are a quote unquote cis male, right, that are standing up for people of other races, religions, sexual orientations, different religions, right? Because we probably, could be another voice of change because we don't fit the mold, right? Because we aren't all of the other things that we get a pass, right? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, in a lot of rooms we get a pass. And so I think that it's such an interesting topic because people get very passionate about some of these things, and I think that's great for people to feel passionate about it. But I also think that so many times that is that passion ends up manifesting as anger, and it doesn't, and it doesn't need to be.
Sure, I think that I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I think that from a motorcyclist standpoint, I mean, I've spent plenty of time in quote unquote biker bars, or bars that have been that cater to motorcyclists, and there's a lot of white males in there that definitely say some things that aren't great, and could some of those things be considered toxic masculinity? Probably could. I think is there Confederate flag patches on some of these leather vests or whatever? Yeah, unfortunately there is, and there's going to be that segment. There's that segment that aren't motorcycles too. The motorcyclists as well, right? You're always going to run into that. And it is what it is. I think that it's easy to point out bikers with that, because they're an outliner, for the same reason that it's easy to point out someone who's gay because it's not normal. Bikers aren't typically normal, right? Because we're a small percentage of the population at the end of the day.
Yep.
It was interesting when I left Smoky Mountain Bike Week. I was there Friday, Saturday, left Sunday, and Sunday night I was at a Pride event in Nashville, Tennessee. So I went from literally in one extreme to another in some ways. And I will say there was way more leather at the motorcycle event than there was the Pride event. But way more rainbows at the Pride event than there was the motorcycle event. But that was an interesting. We joked about it because I came in there in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, t-shirt and jeans, and here's me, take it or leave it. And I never noticed, not that I was looking for it, a second look, a dirty look, or people that talk to me like you and I were talking right now.
Right.
And I talk to them just like you and I are talking to. Like, I have no reason not to. So that was for me. That was a very extreme weekend from just one culture to another, but it sure was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, and I think that it's interesting, because my wife and I have talked about it, because like internally in my family dynamic, I hold a very kind of traditional male role, right? And now I'm not, I don't even, it's hard to explain. I'm not like, I'm not, my decisions are what it is, and that's how the whole house needs to, everyone listens to me, and that, it's not like
Sure.
that at all. Right. I mean,
You don't rule the roost 100%.
no, but I mean, just in terms of like our roles, I mean, like for the longest time, I did all the outside work. But yet I still would clean the bathroom and do that kind of stuff where,
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, up until probably 5 years ago, my wife never even mowed the grass. Right. And then, we started kind of dividing up things. So we did think like she always does the laundry. You know what I mean? Like, like some of the things that you'd like really divide up traditional male and female roles. And, and we've balanced that out, I think, a little bit more as we've gotten a little bit older, and we're more tired, honestly, from like just being older and working more. And so we have to divide up things a little bit differently, that kind of stuff. But I think that there's a very, when I read that definition for toxic masculinity, it led me to the idea that I think that there's an extraordinarily easy way to overuse that idea, right? That being traditionally masculine is inherently negative, right? I disagree with that idea. I don't think that being traditionally masculine is negative. But I think that there are some things about being traditionally male that are less acceptable now than they used to be, right? And so the whole like barefoot and pregnant women, and the man works and the woman stays home, and I think that those ideas are are such a thing of the past. I think my generation made those things a thing of the past because, my generation grew up as latchkey kids, right? Gen X did. And so there was many more parents that both the mom and dad work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, of my age parents. And so, the idea that the man was the head of the household and the breadwinner and all of that is probably, not really a reality anymore. I think that people, especially when people started, picking careers that they were choosing more than just a career to, make a living and collect a paycheck.
Well, you mean picking a job versus a career, really?
Yeah.
A job that comes with a career, or you pick a career and you go down that path. Yep.
And I think that, the younger generations now are very much less concerned about, I don't think they identify themselves by what they do, right? I think that they have really figured it out a lot quicker than we did, that life is more of a combined experiences than it is a collection of things that you should try to get before you die. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I think that they've done some things that are a lot smarter than our generation, which is figure out a way to live the lifestyle you want to live and work the least number of hours as possible to get there.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that that's a bad notion, to be honest with you. I think the idea of a 40 or 50 or 60-hour work week, considering that you spend the majority of your life working, right? If you can figure out how to live a lifestyle that you enjoy, and you can work and you can do it working 30 hours a week, man, more power to you.
Well, I mean, look over in the European countries. I mean, they have shorter work weeks, and not all, but a lot of countries shorter work weeks. They also are living a much healthier lifestyle and living longer. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's not like this is just some mythical idea that may come true one of these days. It's happening, and it's been happening for a long time, just not in the U.S.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you. I think, I mean, the father, the husband, the male figure has to be the breadwinner, has to do all the chores outside, and the wife, the female, has to do everything inside and take care of the kids. And I think that's horseshit. And I've never looked at it that way. I mean, I remember growing up. My mom did most of the cooking, but she really enjoyed doing that. My dad did all the laundry, all the ironing. They both worked 40, 50 hours a week. So I don't understand that. I mean, I have family where, my cousin, she's a doctor, and she works a lot, and she's done really well for herself, and her husband is a stay-at-home dad. And, they got 3 kids, and I joke about being an unpaid Uber. That guy, holy crap, getting 3 kids around to sports and dancing and whatever else they do, horseback riding. And that's a lot of work. And so that's just what works for them. And I've never thought twice about, that's horseshit. He should be bringing in a paycheck. I mean, if that works for them, who cares? That does not impact my life at all.
Right.
So,
right. But it's interesting though, because it just it just doesn't seem, you feel like we're taking steps forward, right? And then unfortunately, you get out there in the world and you realize that maybe we haven't taken as many steps forward as we have. But I will say this: something happened to me this last weekend that reaffirmed my belief. So I've been, when I started traveling motorcycle all over the country and traveling by myself specifically, I had this idea in my head that generally people are still good. Okay? that most people at heart are good. Not everybody out there is trying to get you. Not everybody out there is trying to kill you or steal from you or whatever, right?
Sure.
So this weekend last week I was traveling for work. I was coming home from Virginia on Thursday. I had to fly out of Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. I had to fly to Atlanta, to Minneapolis, and then home to Grand Forks. Okay, so I had two connections. I got to D.C., flight to D.C. to Atlanta, went perfectly, landed in Atlanta, got to my gate. Everything was on time, got in the plane. We were supposed to leave early. The safety video glitched on my plane. And they tried to restart it 3 times. Long story short, we ended up on the tarmac for 30 minutes. Plane takes off, and now I'm late. I only had 35 minutes to connect between my 2 planes when I landed in Minneapolis. Okay? So I land in Minneapolis. My plane's boarding already when I land.
Oof.
So I know that I have a very short window to try to get there on time. We land at like gate G. I have to get to C8. It's in a. Not only is it those gates, it's in a completely different building, across a road even, right? So I mean, like I got a ways to go.
Sure.
And so I make my very best effort to get there. There's actually almost a fight on my airplane. Yeah, between an elderly gentleman and a pilot. So that's a story for a different day. A pilot that was in a jump seat. Yeah, it was like a real fight. Like there was screaming involved and luggage being thrown, and it was awesome. So I literally got off the plane. I ran to my gate. I ran, literally running through the Minneapolis airport, which is not the first time I've done it, but I ran through the airport, and I got to my gate, and my plane is sitting at the end of the thing, at the end of the jetway, but the doors are closed. So they're not going to reopen the doors. I'm not going to make my flight, right? The guy at the gate's shaking his head. Nope, sorry, man, you're not going to get on. I turn around, there's 2 more people sitting there. So, like, not only is it me, but there's at least 3 of us that missed that flight. Now I'm a little bit upset because I didn't miss the flight because I was jacking around. I missed the flight because my other flight was late, and don't hold the flight for me, right? But there's 3 of us.
Right.
The other reason why I was upset is because flying into my hometown is not a connection you're making. It is the destination. It's the last stop.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not a hub airport. My airport doesn't fly anywhere except to Minneapolis. Anywhere else it goes, it's a charter plane to a vacation destination, right?
Got it. Sure.
So if you're flying to Grand Forks on Delta Airline, it's your last stop. So knowing that there was multiple people that were going to miss that flight, they should have held it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have hurt them to do that, okay? But we missed the flight. So I turn around, they're like, oh, yeah, we missed the flight too. And I asked the guy if he can give us, if he can reissue us tickets. He can't help me. I have to go to a help desk. Sends me to a help desk. I go to a help desk area, and I was able to get a flight to Fargo, which is about 80 miles from where I live.
All right.
So my wife says, I'll come pick you up. Don't worry about it. So she's going to come pick me up. So I sit down on the ground outside of the gate that's going to go to Fargo. I take a meeting for work in the airport. I make a couple phone calls, and up this couple walks from, that I saw at that gate that missed the same flight I was supposed to be on. And I just said to him, oh, are you guys going to Fargo? They're like, yeah. And so thinking to myself, this seems foolish, I just said to him, hey, my wife's going to come pick me up. I know that your luggage made it to the Grand Forks airport and you guys have to go back there. My luggage made it there. Why don't you guys just ride with my wife and I, and we'll just take you to the airport in Grand Forks?
That's awesome.
And they were like, hey, thank you for offering, but they were like, we have to get a rental car anyway. We switched our rental car from the Grand Forks airport to the Fargo airport. Why don't you just ride with us back from Fargo to Grand Forks. That way your wife doesn't have to make the trip. We can take you to the airport. You can get your bag anyway from the airport and get your car that's already at the airport, because my work car was at the airport.
Damn.
I was like, yeah. So I essentially hitchhiked, right? I mean, I got in a car.
Right.
I got in a car with some strangers that I just met.
You hitchhiked nowhere close to the actual car.
Yep.
Or a road.
Yep.
Attaboy.
Well, and here's what I thought, right? Of all the places to meet a perfect stranger and accept a ride from him, an airport's probably the safest place. We already know they don't have weapons. They've been searched for them on the way in.
Yeah, there's no bomb in their shoes.
No bomb in their shoes, no knife or gun or anything like that. I mean, you can't even bring nail clippers on an airplane anymore, so it's not like they can file me to death with the nail file and nail clippers, right? It's a husband and wife who are about the same age as me. And I mean, I sized up the guy. I knew I could take him anyway if worse came to worse, right? But I mean, no, for real. They were super nice people. Turns out they were from North Carolina visiting their daughter at the air base out here. Their daughter was stationed at the air base out here. They have been married almost the same amount of time as my wife and I. My wife and I will be celebrating our 30th anniversary this summer. This couple will also be celebrating their 30th anniversary. My wife and I were married in 1996. This couple was also married in 1996, 2 weeks after my wife and I were married.
Crazy.
My wife and I both turned 50 this year. This couple are both turning 50 this year.
It's weird.
It was such a weird, just like a super weird coincidence, right? So they decided, because they were both turning 50 and celebrating their 30th anniversary in the same year, they were going to do 80, what do they call them? Bucket lists. So 80 things that they have never done before to celebrate their 50th their 50th birthdays and their 30th anniversary. So they were going to make a scrapbook, and then they were just putting 80 things that they'd never done before. And I was like, you guys, they were telling me about this, and I'm like, you guys, you totally have to picked up a hitchhiker in your 80 thing scrapbook. And they're like, oh, you're going in the scrapbook for sure.
They weren't wearing like sweatshirts with upside down pineapples or anything, were they?
I didn't see anything like that.
All right.
I mean,
so, all right.
But
just checking.
Yeah, but I mean, it was such a. It just kind of reaffirmed my idea that people are generally still good, right? I rode back from them like in an 80-mile car ride with somebody I'd never met before. They went to the airport. We got our luggage, and they got their luggage, and we took selfies together because they also have two daughters, which my wife and I also have two daughters, right?
Man, that's wild.
Yeah, and it was funny because their daughters were texting the same thing that my wife was texting to me. My wife was like, take a picture of them, so if you get murdered, I know, who killed you. Their daughters were texting that very same thing, right?
Fair,
so,
more than fair.
Yeah, they got to the airport in Grand Forks, and they texted their daughters, and they're like, made it to Grand Forks, didn't get murdered. Right? So I thought it was, I thought it was a great, kind of a great way to end a trip when it could have gone, very poorly, and I missed my flight, and things could have just,
Sure.
It could have been just a crappy way to end a flight, but it ended in this way that was, that was really kind of heartwarming. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like to end your day like that. So, and of course it's me that I meet some total strangers in the airport and hitch a ride with them 80 miles home. Of course that would be something that I would do. So
that's pretty impressive. Good for them. Good Southern folks from North Carolina. Extending a little olive branch there. That's great. And the funny part is you were offering the same thing, right?
Yeah,
and
I offered the very same thing to them that they just then turned around and offered to me because they had to change their rental car spot anyway.
Good for them. That's awesome.
So
that's great.
Yeah. So I think that I think that kind of speaks to this idea of maybe it doesn't speak to masculinity in general, but I think it speaks to the idea of, like you said, of openness and acceptance, and that you can find good in all people, and you can, if you go out of your way to maybe like be nice, to do that extra thing, to, that good karma, that good aura, that good, good vibes, like that's going to come back to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, I sure hope people aren't doing those things to hopefully get something in return, right? That's obviously defeats the purpose. But I guess for me, and I don't know that I was like specifically raised to hold the door open for people, regardless of age or gender or whatever. But I learned by example, right? I watched my family and friends of family do that. And that's what things like that I've always done. And I think that I've noticed with Sophia is she does the same thing. And she has learned, I've never said, hey, you got to hold the door open for people. She just watched me do it. She does that in return. And for her, it's not, like me, it's not going out of the way. It's just what we do. Like, it's just common courtesy to us. It's common courtesy. And hopefully for more people, and more people out there, it's the same thing. It's just a way of life. Just do the right thing and be nice to people.
I will say this though. One of the things I'm guilty of is that if I go to a restaurant and you're waiting you're waiting to be seated, right? And there's a whole bunch of people sitting down, and then like that old couple walks in, and you have like two teenagers sitting down on a bench, and their heads are in their phones and they're not paying attention. Like, I will stare down those teenagers. You know what I mean? Like, you should be getting your ass up off of that chair and offering it to the elderly people that are waiting to sit in a seat. You know what I mean? Like, those kind of things it's just like you said, it's like opening up a door. Give up your seat for the elderly person. I do it when I'm in an airport on like taking a tram to the rental car place. I do it when I'm in a restaurant. Like, that's the right thing to do.
Or grab their luggage off the conveyor belt.
I grab their luggage off the conveyor belt, put it up. I'll even do it for like short people. You know what I mean? Because I'm giant, and so people are trying to put their luggage in the top shelf of an airport or airline like overhead bin. I put people's luggage up there all the time for them. It's the right thing to do, right? And I will say for me. And this is going to, people can take this however they want, but it's self-serving for me too. Like, it makes me feel good to go out of my way and do something for somebody else like that. And that makes me feel good. It does. You know what I mean?
Well, it makes you feel good for the right reasons, right? You're not looking to get anything out of it.
No, I'm not looking for them to open up their wallet and give me a tip. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, granted, motorcycle parts aren't cheap, but no, I get it. Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's just being polite, being respectful, and again, common respect goes such a long way. And wish we could see a little more of that. But I agree with you. Back to the toxic piece of it. I mean, it's definitely an easy. I can see where it's an easy term to throw around. I think because of so many varying definitions and interpretations of it, that's probably not always correct, but it's definitely correct at times, for sure. There's no doubt of that. At the end of the day, I think folks, men have got to be, you don't have to be a man. You have to be just a good human being. Be respectful. I think one of my biggest like aha moments in life when I've been working on myself over the years is that really, I've talked about I need to be less selfish, and part of that was think about how the person will interpret what I'm saying, instead of just letting it fly. Like, maybe it was for shock factor, maybe it's because I just didn't give a shit, but the common piece of it was I wasn't thinking, I was just saying. And when you do that, when you don't think about what you're saying and just say it, you're definitely going to offend somebody in the room, and I'm not saying you shouldn't offend anyone. We're all going to offend someone. That's just part of it. We do that probably weekly on this podcast, but, at the end of the day, think about what you're saying and how it's going to be interpreted. Cause would you want, if you're like, for me, like I said bitch a lot over my adulthood. And then I became a girl dad, and man, it's rare that I say that now. I might every once in a while say son of a bitch when I've, wrenching on something and my hand slips and I hit my knuckle on something, or, usually it's the F word, but sometimes I'll say that. But calling anyone, male or female, a bitch, no. I don't do that anymore because, it's funny how your perspective changes as you get older. And obviously for me, becoming a father of a girl changes perspective on things. So it's little things like that that can go a long way for you and for people in your life.
Right. I prefer motherfucker. That's just that's my that's my go-to way more than bitch. I probably don't. I don't think that I would agree with you. I don't think I use that one. And I the other thing too that I really hope that people get better at is that I think it's okay for people to know and understand that it's okay to have an opinion. It's even okay to have an opinion that's not popular.
Sure.
But I don't try to go out of my way, even if my opinion's not popular, to make it offensive or to offend someone with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like if you're I'm just going to use religion as an example. If you're Christian and you're in a room where there are someone who's Muslim, for instance, that's not a Christian faith, okay? I think it's okay for you to have your opinion about it, but I don't think it's okay for you to think that they're less of a human because they're not Christian, right? That's I think the way that I look at it. I'm Christian, and but that isn't going to stop me from having a friendship or a working relationship or a professional relationship or whatever with someone who's a non-Christian of any other. I mean, I've had a few friends in my lifetime who are atheists, who don't believe in God at all, right? Or Allah or whatever, right? And and again, I think that having the idea to have an open mind, to have conversations with people whose opinions differ from you is going to be a greater tool in your life to serve you in your life better than it is to stand behind these principles like a brick wall and to never open yourself up to ideas or thoughts or whatever that aren't your own, right? Just like I don't think it is wrong to appear to be and to act in a traditionally masculine way, right? I don't believe that that's wrong, but I do believe it's wrong when you use that as a weapon against others.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I think for me, that's like a defining factor in that part of it that makes it, that differentiates between whether or not that idea of masculinity has become toxic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll say, kind of back up, you talking about the religion piece, like as an example, for parents, man, expressing you have to walk a fine line of expressing your opinion and how you explain it around your kids. Because, at least I feel like you do, like I did, because I want my child to form their own opinion on things, right? And have their own thoughts around it. And if they start to get way off center, then you can, as a parent, you direct them back to center and let them figure out their own. But you got to you can't have opinions when it's. I'm sorry, let me back up. Like you said, having an opinion about someone, because of them being less of a person because of their religion, their faith, their gender, whatever. That's just bullshit. Don't do that, guys. It doesn't make any sense. That's the true form of being discriminative to someone at the end of the day, and that's what we've been trying to get rid of in this world for forever, and we will continue to do that forever. So
right. And I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think it makes you more of a man in that sense, right? I think it
Sure.
makes you, in my opinion, I think it makes you less of a man, and I would stand by that, right? Because you're, as a man, you should be standing up for someone who can't stand up for themselves, who doesn't have the ability to stand up for themselves, who's being bullied, who's being picked on, who's being ostracized, who's being, right? I mean, that's in my opinion, that's what a real man would do, right? A real man is going to have a conversation with somebody. They're not going to raise their hand to their wife or to their partner, whoever it is, right? Even if you're a gay man, it's not okay to hit your partner, right? I mean, that doesn't make you more of a man. That doesn't make you strong, right? In fact, I would say that the restraint is more difficult than raising your hand, right?
Civility takes work.
Right.
Violence is easy.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I say violence, not physical. It would be verbal.
Yeah,
it could be mental.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like any type of, and which is basically bullying, right? So that's the easy way out. That's the example of a weak person. Civility, understanding, being calm, being self-aware. That's the side of a strong individual.
Right. So I think that, I guess in summation of kind of what we talked about, for me at least, masculinity in 2025 has more humbleness probably attached to it. I think it has to do with a quiet strength or a quiet confidence in how you carry yourself. It's how you treat the people around you, that you show the same amount of respect to others that you want to receive to yourself, and that you are good to your family and your friends, and you take care of those people, right? And when I say you take care of your family and friends, you do things like what you and I have done with each other on occasion, which is, hey, I haven't heard from you in a few days. How are things going? Right? Yeah. You ask an open-ended question that elicits a response from someone, and when you get the fine, then you know that that's not fine, right?
You get the response that doesn't pass the smell test, then you dig in a little bit more. Yeah.
Right. And I think all of those things are signs of what I would consider to be, more positive masculinity, more the type of masculinity I think that we need more of, right? Less that's surrounded by less negative connotation. That's, you know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be some bravado in your masculinity or some confidence in your masculinity, because that's still true, right? Because if you are seeking a partner, your partner is looking for someone who is going to make them feel comforted and loved and protected and cared for, and all of those things come with a little bit of self-confidence, right?
Sure.
So I think you have to know that, hey, I'm smart. I'm a good provider.
That comes from self-awareness at the end of the day. That's where that comes from, is self-awareness. Your confidence will come naturally if you're a self-aware person. Right.
And really the what I have learned about being self-aware is knowing yourself is really a lot about knowing others, right? Because that idea of being sensitive to those people around you is going to allow you, I think, to open that window or that door to your own self.
Sure.
Right. Because you'll be maybe less reactionary. Maybe you will, you'll be more thoughtful in your responses or in your actions.
Sure. Yeah. And for me also, I'm not perfect at it, but I try to be the person that my daughter wants to, I want to be like a guy that hopefully my daughter will bring into her life one day, right? Like set the example of what a male figure should be like.
Right.
And I'm not perfect at it.
Treated.
Exactly. Right. I'm not perfect at it, but man, that's something I try to remind myself of every day. So.
Yep. Well, before I think we've kind of wrapped up this topic, but I do want to mention a couple things before we end our podcast today. What shirt are you repping today?
Well, man, I've got the Shifter Crew shirt. On the back it says "Fuck your approval," and which I love. Picked this up at Smoky Mountain Bike Week. But yeah, great little shirt. How about you? What do you got?
Well, I got a shirt that you sent to me from Whiskey Barrel Apparel.
Yes.
And tell everybody a little bit about them, because they sent you the stuff and you sent it to me.
Yeah, so they are out of my hometown in Knoxville. So they make various apparel, hats, shirts. I don't know what else they've got too. I've got to look at their website, but some really cool shirts. A few I've seen. The hat was really cool that they sent out. Same brand as that makes ours, Richardson, just a different model, different style. But that you'll find them at a whole lot of car shows and swap meets and things like that around East Tennessee. So, and I believe they've got a website as well. We'll drop it in the comments on this episode on YouTube, and we'll give them a shout out on the other socials as well. But we appreciate them showing us some love and sending us some hats and shirts and stickers and whatnot.
Yeah, and the back of this one is kind of cool. I teased because I showed it to my daughters and wives, or daughters and wife, and they got a good laugh out of it, because it's a very traditional, like, pinup girls on the back, right? And they have like Harley tattoos on their legs and like with the Harley Davidson emblem and that kind of stuff. So, but it's a very like pinup girlish back to this shirt. On the front, it has like these whiskey barrels, and it's you think there's going to be like a giant, Jim Beam bottle on the back, and it's not. It's straight up like pinup girls on the back. Yeah. So, nice. Take it with a grain of salt. You can like that or not like it. I think it's a very classic design. I dug it. But again, it may not be for everybody, but I love it. I appreciate that they sent them out. Thank you guys very much for the swag, and I just wanted to make sure that we did that. I also wanted to mention I received my Moto State beanie in the mail last week, and I got the black beanie with the Moto State embroidered emblem on it. And very cool. It's the fold up has the fold up style on it or whatever, and it's the knit style beanie. I'll be rocking that all winter this winter. So if you're looking for some cold weather's right around the corner, it's going to be beanie weather around here without any. I
just got my hoodie in my toboggan as well. And actually was rocking the hoodie all weekend because it was cold and rainy here and it was gross, so it kept me nice and warm. I do want to give actually one more shout out, and I'm going to mention it every episode over the next few weeks, but I want to remind everyone of Dream Rides of Tennessee. They've got their Christmas bicycle drive that they've got going on right now. Every time you donate a brand new kid's bicycle to them, that enters you into an opportunity to win a 2018 Road Glide Ultra that they're going to be fixing up, actually working on it right now. It's going to have all the goodie parts on it from Saddlemen, Legends, S&S, Arlen Ness, V-Twin Visionary, Original Garage Moto, Drag Specialties, and several other folks that will be contributing to that. They're going to have an awesome paint job on this thing. I believe a new motor. Either they're rebuilding what's in there or putting a fresh motor in that thing, and transmission, bars and risers and the whole 9 yards. It's going to be slick. It's probably going to be their nicest giveaway bike that they've done since starting this bicycle drive. So you guys can drop off a brand new kid's bicycle to Dream Rides Tennessee there in Maryville, Tennessee, or do what I did last year. I hopped on Amazon, or you can go to Walmart or whoever you prefer, and have one drop shipped to them. As a reminder, if you do that, make sure, like with Amazon, that you change your address back to your normal mailing address, because I ordered a Cousin Eddie outfit as a joke, and it got shipped to Dream Rides, Tennessee. So I'm looking forward to seeing Matt wearing that in some social media posts this year. He said that he's lost some weight, and he is going to be wearing that this year. So, Matt, I'm going to hold you up to that. So, guys, if you can, you got the time and the funds to do it. We'd love to see us help them out and get some more bicycles for the kids in East Tennessee.
And if you do, buy a bike and donate to the cause, let us know either in the comments, let us know on Discord, post it on social media. Let us know that you ordered a bike and got a ticket for that giveaway, because if you know anything about any of the builds that they do at Dream Rides, that bike's going to be well worth the $80 or $100 that you spent on a ticket for a bike for a kid. So that is definitely going to be well worth it if that one $80 ticket gets you this fully built out custom motorcycle. So
absolutely,
that's all I have to say about that one. That would be definitely worth every penny that a person spent on it. So
that's right, man. But raffle bikes are fun to win. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Luke's already won one, right? So
that's
the last thing I want to say, just to wrap anything up, is that if you agree or disagree with any of the things that we said on this episode, I would encourage you to put it in the comments. Let's start a conversation. Let's get it going, or add it to Discord, whatever you want to do, because our Discord is free. You can always go on and join the Motostate Discord, because that's free to join. You can be a part of that, be a part of this community that we're building. A bunch of good people in there. For some reason, they like to talk about food a lot right now. We're going to have to shift that conversation a little bit, because I'm getting real tired of hearing about pineapple on pizza.
Fucking pineapple on pizza. Who does that?
Right, exactly.
Jesus.
No one should do that. So, but you could join our Discord. You could buy some merch. If you feel like you want to support us further, you can get out there and you can support us on Patreon. We will hopefully be recording another Patreon-only episode in the next couple of weeks that we'll be putting on there.
Yep.
And so, at the end of the day, these non-motorcycle related podcasts, we want to obviously be branching out, but we also want to solicit conversation from our community and get people actively talking about things outside of motorcycling, outside of the normal things that we talk about. And so, let us know what you think and support it. And the other thing too that we really need everybody to do is get out there and drop a rating of the podcast on Apple, on Spotify, on anything that's out there. Drop a rating. All of these things help. Repost our posts on social media. Everything helps get our name out there and get more people listening to the Motostate podcast, because we're on a roll. We've been doing good. The podcast is growing. We're excited about it. We're excited about the direction it's taking. We will be, as we get closer through the holiday season, Luke and I will we'll probably take a bit of a break at the end towards Christmas and New Year. During that time, while we probably won't put out a podcast during that time, we may or may not, depending on how many we have banked during that time, we will be formulating our plans and our goals for what we want to do for next year. The first thing that I will tell you that's at the top of that list for us is Mama Tried, because Mama Tried is going to be in February. Luke and I will be there. I will be there with my wife and my good friend and his wife. Luke may or may not have his girlfriend with us or with him, but we will be at the Mama Tried event, Flat Out Friday races for sure, and the event on Saturday. So, if you guys want to meet us in person, come find us. You'll get free stickers for sure if you find us. So that'd be.
We'll trade stickers for beers. So I'm just kidding. Maybe not. Anyway, I digress.
But yeah. So anyway, we know that's going to be on our list of things to do, and hopefully, like I said, we may or may not have some other ideas of some things that we would do where potentially you could meet up and ride with Luke and I next riding season. So
absolutely.
All right. Anything else, Luke?
No, man. Shut the fuck up so we can get out of here.
All right. We out. Peace.
See ya.